Chairman Carper, thank you very much. Senator Capito, thank you for holding this hearing and for the courtesy of being able to testify. I want to also comment in regards to Jim Inhofe. We were elected together in 1986, so we were in the same class in the House of Representatives. And we became close friends in the House and close friends in the Senate. I admired him greatly for his integrity and his passion. The line I liked the most about what he would say is that a true conservative, as he was clearly, supports more money for infrastructure. So he was the great chairman of this committee, so I thank you for that. And it's good to be here with Senator Van Hollen. I know we're far apart at this dais, but believe me, we are working and joined at the hip in regards to this issue and the issues affecting Maryland. So March 26th was a tragic shock day for all of us in Maryland. I was awoken early in the morning and looked at the video and was shocked by how quickly the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed after being struck by the dolly. The loss of life was our major concern trying to rescue. We lost 6 people that tragedy, and their thoughts are always in our prayers, and we are always with their families. The Port of Baltimore was closed. The third busiest port in the United States, closed as a result of the tragedy. The next morning, workers had no place to go to work. Hundreds and thousands of people were directly impacted by the Port of Baltimore being closed. Businesses were shuttered. Small business operators had no business. It was a major catastrophic event for our economy. And by the way, it affected the entire region. Small Business Administration was there, setting up an office immediately, affecting businesses in 6 states. So it was affected in the entire region of our country. In fact, it affected the entire country because the supplies of a lot of the agricultural and roll-off cargo was affected throughout our country. It shut down a major artery of I-95. As the chairman pointed out, over 30,000 vehicles a day. I want to just first acknowledge the incredible unified response, starting with the President of the United States, President Biden. He was very direct about the federal response, and he was very helpful to all of us. I want to thank Administrator Batt and Secretary Buttigieg. They were there immediately, providing the expertise and resources, as Senator Capito pointed out. $60 million was released almost immediately to deal with the cleanup operations of the bridge itself. I want to thank General Spellman and Colonel Pinchason. I must tell you, I knew that they were good. I didn't know that they were this good. You're talking about, as Senator Capito said, 50,000 tons of debris, and it was highly contained. So therefore, when you started to try to remove anything, you would have a spring effect that could very well have caused additional injury and damage and death. And they couldn't see it all in the water. They had to use sonar in order to figure out where things were. The expertise was unbelievable, and the response was unbelievable. I want to thank the U.S. Coast Guard. They were the head of the Unified Command. They did an incredible, keeping all of the people working in the same direction. And Secretary Wiedefeld, our Secretary of the Department of Transportation, along with Governor Moore and Baltimore City Mayor Scott, all worked as a unified team in order to deal with the challenges of the families of the victims, to deal with the businesses that were shuttered, to deal with the workers, to deal with the port issues, and to deal with the replacement of the bridge. So, and as the chairman pointed out, our incredible thanks go out to our first responders. It is almost unbelievable to believe we only lost 6 lives. The quick action of the first responders kept other vehicles from being on the bridge. We're talking about seconds. That's all there was between the original alert and the bridge coming down, and they were able to prevent other cars from going on to the bridge, saving many lives. Now, in regards to the bridge replacement, we have a major issue. The city streets are being now inundated by truck traffic. We've seen an 18% increase in the tunnel traffic, which is causing major delays through our tunnels. For hazardous materials and those who choose to take the detour around the Beltway, it's a 25-mile detour. through a part of the Beltway that already was congested with major delays, now having even more major delays. So make no mistake about it, there's a serious impact until that bridge is replaced, and it's going to take a couple years. We recognize that. But we need to act quickly. That's why Senator Van Hollen and I filed legislation to the Bridge Relief Act because we need to know the certainty of the federal share. And let me just point out, we are asking for the 100% because that's what we've done in the past. And we need it now because we are lending contracts to start the construction now. We don't want to delay this. Every month it's delayed is additional loss to our communities and frustration among drivers, not only those that are directly impacted by the port, but those that are using our streets. It is neighborhoods are impacted, so we need to get this moving as quickly as possible. I point out that changing the share to 100% is totally consistent with the prior practices that we've done during emergencies. We did that for the I-35W bridge in Minnesota. We did it for Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Maria, Hurricane Fiona. All those, we changed the share from 90% to 100%. Why? Because it was a major event. Senator Van Hollen and I, the Maryland delegation, strongly supported our efforts on behalf of our sister state problems, and we expect that we'll get the same courtesy in reply. Let me also point out that it's supported by the administration. Director Young has sent a letter to us supporting this. Let me mention the issue in regards to the toll issue, because Senator Capito mentioned that. The toll issues in regards to this facility is totally consistent with the requirements in Title 23. The toll revenues are not used to build a replacement bridge for Francis Scott Key Bridge. It is used for the maintenance of our interstate system. It's already taken a major hit as a result of Francis Scott Key Bridge being knocked down. We've lost literally millions of dollars of revenues already, and we're behind in the resources we would normally get. This is not being used for the replacement of the bridge. Secondly, there will be recoveries. We put that in the legislation. They're expecting a record recovery from insurance and third-party claims, and that will be used to reduce dramatically the federal share. Now, the state of Maryland, all those funds go to the federal government. It would be penalizing the state of Maryland if you required us to use our toll facilities to repay our 10%. So we think that would be totally unfair. And I just have to be pretty honest about that. I think it would be penalizing our state. Yes, I support the supplemental. We need to get the ER funds up to where it needs to be. We strongly support that. But let's be realistic. That's going to take some time before we get around to doing it. I would ask your support the first available vehicle for us to be able to get the cost share legislation passed. I think that's a matter of fairness and importance for us to be able to move forward with this project. And with that, I'm glad to be here with my colleague. We're going to work together, and we're going to certainly work with the chair and ranking member and all the members of this committee in order that we can get this project done as quickly as possible.
Senator Cardin, thank you for those words. Before I recognize Senator Van Hollen, I'm going to go back to Jim Inhofe. And Jim Inhofe, for those who remember, was I don't mean this in an unkind way, he was a climate change denier. And there's famously one of the most memorable things he did, I don't know, it was like springtime, and we had like a big snowfall here. And he went out and gathered snow in front of the U.S. Capitol and made snowballs and brought them in to the chamber and said, for those of you who think that this climate change is real, look at all these snowballs. He ended up, at the time that he was here, joining me as initially George Voinovich, Republican from Ohio, but later Jim Inhofe to be the co-chairman, the co-sponsor for the Diesel Emission Reduction Act, which has done a whole lot to reduce diesel emissions and help us in the battle on climate change. So God bless Jim Inhofe. Thank you. Chris, welcome, Chris Van Hollen, who is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, previously a valued member of this committee. And we're grateful that you can join us this morning, and you're not recognized. Go ahead, please. And at some point in time, maybe right after Senator Van Hollen, I need to run over to the Homeland Security Committee. We're having a hearing on permitting, which my colleagues know is a big deal for all of us, and so I'll have to slip out for a part of that.
When you step out, can I take the chair and move my legislation forward?
I'll second that.
Yeah.